Today, we're talking the top buys and sells for fantasy football ahead of week 2. And when you're making your deals this week, be sure to use our trade calculator at yardsperfantasy.com. It's fully customizable, it's free to use, and you'll never lose a trade again. Find it now at yardsperfantasy.com/trade calculator. Let's kick things off with the top trade targets for week 2, starting with Chargers rookie running back Omarion Hampton. There's been a lot of negativity surrounding Omarion Hampton's. Fuck. This is why I don't do it live. I always mess up. Here we go. There's been a lot of negativity surrounding Omarion Hampton's NFL debut. I mean, I get it wasn't great. He ran 15 times for 48 yards, averaged 3.2 yards per carry. Not that impressive. He caught 2 balls, 13 yards, finished with fewer than 10 fantasy points. But there was so much good to take away. He played 80.6% of the snaps. He ran a route on 53.7% of Justin Herbert's dropbacks. He accounted for 89.5% of the backfield touches. That is elite usage. And it wasn't surprising that he struggled to get going against a strong Chiefs run defense, one that gave up the second fewest fantasy points per game to the running back position last season. And Omarion Hampton, he was a guy we loved coming out of North Carolina as a prospect all throughout the preseason, the draft process, the training camp. He looked good. We loved the fit. He's a really, really good prospect. Top to bottom, he's a complete guy. The Chargers offense looked really good in week 1. They might be elite this year. We want running backs in good offenses, especially ones who get full-blown bell cow usage like Omarion Hampton did in week 1. The schedule gets easier moving forward with matchup against the Raiders, Giants, Dolphins, and Colts over the next 6 weeks. I am aggressively trying to trade for Omarion Hampton right now. You should at least test the waters to see if the Omarion Hampton manager in your league is a little bit worried, a little bit skeptical. Make an offer. I also think you should be making an offer for Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers is going to cost you. He is. I'm telling you right now, it's going to cost you a lot. It's a guy that people were drafting right around the 1-2 turn. I doubt you'll get that much of a discount, but I expect his value is going to go up very soon. And that is because it's only a matter of time before rookie Jackson Dart takes over at quarterback for the Giants. Russell Wilson looked absolutely terrible in week 1, much like he has over the last few years, really. And jobs are on the line in New York. The GM, the head coach, they need to win games. And with games against the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Chargers over the next 3 weeks, they are almost guaranteed to get off to an 0-4 start. The quarterback change is going to happen at that point, if not before then. I think that's going to be huge news for Malik Nabers. Jackson Dart looks fantastic in preseason. He's got a big arm, and he showed a willingness to use it to push the ball down the field. He was a first-round pick for a reason. I think he will come in and immediately improve that offense. He'll pepper Malik Nabers with targets and look his way in the red zone and on downfield shots as well. That could propel Malik Nabers into top 5 wide receiver territory for fantasy purposes. So I'm trying to trade for Malik Nabers now, get ahead of that. Maybe there's a little bit of a discount, a little bit of a hesitation from whoever drafted him in your league after seeing how bad things went in week 1 with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Maybe they don't fully appreciate how good Jackson Dart is. See if you can get Malik Nabers ahead of week 2. I'm also trying to buy Tyler Warren. Fantastic NFL debut last week for Tyler Warren, which might make it difficult to trade for him, to be honest with you. But it's okay to buy high. That's a lesson to learn. It is okay to buy high. Not everybody has to be a buy low. I think this is a great buy high opportunity for Tyler Warren. But there are a lot of fantasy teams that drafted him as their tight end too this year. And he scored 14.9 PPR points, which isn't exactly a blow up. So he is attainable, even if you are buying, at least at market value. He didn't blow up in week 1, so you're not having to pay up too much. You know what I mean? He's attainable. I made the same call on Brock Bowers after week 1 last season. It was so obvious that the Raiders were going to make him the focal point of the offense, and there were much bigger performances coming his way. I have a feeling, I'm getting that same feeling that that's exactly what is going to happen. That's exactly how things are going to play out with Tyler Warren. But it's not just a gut call. The numbers back it up, just like they did with Brock Bowers in week 1 last year. Tyler Warren led the Colts with 9 targets in his NFL debut, 31% target share. And according to J.J. Zacharyson, Tyler Warren is just the 4th tight end since 2000 to have 9 or more targets in their NFL debut. And he accounted for 25% of the team's air yards, 50% of the end zone targets, and he was the go-to guy when they needed it. He had a 33% target share on 3rd and 4th downs. And Tyler Warren lined up all over the field. According to Next Gen Stats, he took 33 snaps in line, 9 from the slot, 6 out wide, and also he took 2 snaps from the backfield. Tyler Warren was the chess piece in the Colts offense. He was being moved all around the formation. That is a great sign for how the Colts view him moving forward. And he finished the day with 7 catches, 76 yards, plus a carry for 3 additional yards. And that all happened in a blowout win. What are those numbers going to look like when the Colts are playing from behind, which, they probably will be in a lot of games. But even though it was the Dolphins, Daniel Jones looked good. The offense looked good. The targets are going to keep coming for Tyler Warren. And I bet he'll score plenty of touchdowns as well. That's what's making him so attainable. If he had a touchdown on top of all those targets, receptions, receiving yards, I don't think we'd be able to get him. Without the touchdown, it wasn't a complete blow-up, so we can still get him. I think we're looking at a top 5 tight end rest of the season for Tyler Warren. Go buy accordingly. I'm also trying to trade for another rookie, TreVeyon Henderson of the Patriots. There was a lot of hype about TreVeyon Henderson after a strong preseason, but that was squashed after an underwhelming NFL debut. He carried the ball just 5 times for 27 yards and was in a complete timeshare with Ramondre Stevenson. In fact, TreVeyon Henderson played just 35% of the snaps, while Ramondre Stevenson was on the field for 65%. But Henderson still outgained Ramondre Stevenson despite 2 fewer carries, and he earned 6 targets in the passing game. We like to see that passing game usage. It's what we were drafting him for. He caught all 6 targets. It was only for a modest, 24 yards, but a 13% target share and just 35% of the snaps in your NFL debut. Not too bad, not too shabby. It's safe to say the usage is only going to go up from here. I expect sooner than later the snap share will be at about 50% for TreVeyon Henderson, and Henderson will be carrying the ball, 10 to 12 additional times, or 10 to 12 times in addition to a large. And Henderson will be carrying the ball 10 to 12 times in addition to a large workload as a receiver. He's an explosive play waiting to happen, but don't wait to go get him. We could see those explosive plays come as early as week 2 against the Dolphins defense that just got torched by the Colts. So go get TreVeyon Henderson. And I'm also trying to go out and buy another wide receiver, and that is Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall had a good week 1. He got 4 of 7 targets for 108 yards. That included a long reception of 45 yards. But during the course of the game, the 49ers lost George Kittle and Juwan Jennings to injuries. That's likely going to leave Ricky Pearsall as the clear top receiving option in that offense, outside of Christian McCaffrey, of course, at least for the next couple of weeks. And Kittle, we got the news yesterday. Kittle is going on IR, so he's going to be out for at least like a month. And I liked Ricky Pearsall a lot coming into the season. He was a clear, breakout candidate, and we already saw a glimpse of that in week 1. And if we include last season, over his last 3 games, Ricky Pearsall has now averaged 106 yards per game with 25 targets, 18 receptions, and 2 touchdowns, and the most receiving yards in the NFL over that period. I know there's concern, over the left shoulder issue for Brock Purdy right now as well, but we saw what Mac Jones was able to do with Brian Thomas Jr. last season with Trevor Lawrence out of the game. So Ricky Pearsall will be just fine if Mac Jones has to start in the games. So go and buy Ricky Pearsall right now. He's going to pay off in a big way. Now, I got a few bonus buys. We'll go rapid fire for 5 more before we get to our sells. That's Calvin Ridley. He won't be playing the Broncos and Patrick Surtain every week, so relax. The target share, the usage, it was elite. He's right back in your lineup in week 2. Then we got Ashton Jeanty. Played 86% of the snaps in his NFL debut. He is the guy in that backfield. Better days are going to come. Tony Pollard, absolute bell cow. The schedule gets easier for him. Teteroa McMillan, 26% target share in his NFL debut. The receiving core is depleted in Carolina. It's just a matter of time before Teteroa McMillan breaks out. And then let's wrap it up with Drake London. He had 15 targets in a game that he didn't even finish. Michael Penix looked good, and it sounds like the shoulder injury for Drake London is minor. He's a top 5 wide receiver. Go and trade for Drake London. Let's get to our sells for week 2. I got 3 of them for you. Let's kick it off with Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers exploded in week 1. He looked awesome. I know it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a great performance. He got 7 of 9 targets, 143 yards and a touchdown. He led the team with a 47% target share, which was more than double the next highest guy on the team. And only Jackson Smith-Njigba had a higher target share in the entire NFL in week 1. And that's all great. And it kind of confirms what we already knew about Zay Flowers. He's a great player. He really is. He's a good wide receiver. I like him. However, for the same reasons I was fading him at ADP in the preseason, I am recommending putting him on the trade block ahead of week 2. That's because despite the near 50% target share, he was still only targeted 9 times. And of course, 9 targets is a very healthy number. I get it. But how often is he going to get a 47% target share? To put that into context, Drake London had a 36% target share in week 1. That resulted in 15 targets. So a lower share, but 6 more targets than Zay Flowers. And that's because Michael Penix threw the ball 42 times, while Lamar Jackson attempted just 19 passes. This was the concern for me, Zay Flowers, coming into the season. Of course, he's capable of rising above that and having a few performances like this, but his 143 receiving yards were a career high. There are too many other good pass catchers in this offense to expect Zay Flowers to command that high of a share on a regular basis. DeAndre Hopkins is there. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely will be back in the mix pretty soon as well. Rashad Bateman had a 21% target share in week 1. We've seen this movie before. Zay Flowers has failed to crack the top 30 wide receivers on a points per game basis in either of his first 2 NFL seasons. He's maxed out at a 12.9 fantasy points per game in his best year. But it's not a Zay Flowers thing. No Ravens wide receiver has reached 15 fantasy points per game in a season since Lamar Jackson took over at quarterback. So while this was an awesome performance from Zay Flowers, it is time to cash in and put him on the trade block. I'm also trying to put on the trade block Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce gave us a solid week 1 performance for fantasy purposes. He racked up 47 yards and a touchdown. He finished as the tight end 8 with 12.7 fantasy points. Unfortunately, however, he only caught 2 balls and was targeted on just 10% of Patrick Mahomes' passes. In fact, according to JJ Zachariason, this was Travis Kelce's lowest target share since week 3 of 2017. And that's legitimately concerning, considering the team was without Rashee Rice in week 1 and they lost Xavier Worthy on the opening possession. And yet this was all Travis Kelce could give us in a game where the Chiefs were in comeback mode in the second half. What happens when the Chiefs are playing from ahead and they have Rashee Rice back and a healthy Xavier Worthy? I'm honestly kind of scared to find out. This is a 36-year-old tight end who showed major signs of decline in 2024. He's looking touchdown dependent, which might be okay in this offense. But the weeks where he doesn't score are going to be a real detriment to our fantasy lineups. So sell now off of this tight end 8 performance and the name value of Travis Kelce if you can. Let's wrap it up with our final sell for week 2 is DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf gave us a solid 12.3 performance in week 1. Nothing amazing, but it wasn't bad either. 12.3 points, that's not horrible. But what worries me is that in a game where the Steelers' offense greatly exceeded expectations, 34 points, 244 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, in a shootout with the Jets, DK Metcalf is only giving us 4 catches and 12 fantasy points. He only had one more target than Calvin Austin and Jonnu Smith. Maybe this is just me confirming my priors, but I didn't like DK Metcalf coming into the season. I think he's a bad fit with Aaron Rodgers. I think he's an overrated wide receiver. I didn't expect the Steelers' offense to be very good. And I know they looked good in week 1, but I'm still skeptical if this is going to continue. This could legitimately be the best performance by the Steelers' offense that we get all season. And DK Metcalf in that performance barely cracked 12 fantasy points. I'm seeing if I can get out if I have him. That's it. Those are the top buys and sells for week 2. Go ahead and drop your trade questions in the comments. I'll be happy to share my thoughts. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be putting out content like this all season long. And if you want more from me, you can find my rankings, articles, resources, and tools at yardsperfantasy.com. Check back Friday for the best and worst plays of the week. Hunter in the chat is asking, should we keep Mark Andrews? I mean, we saw the slow start last year. Let's let it breathe for another week or two, see what happens. But in a game where the Ravens scored 40 points, Mark Andrews gave us nothing. Now we're going to get Isaiah Likely's going to come back at some point, right? I'm very skeptical. It's kind of the same deal as Travis Kelce. It's a concern. It's hard to say. I don't think I'm going after Dalton Kincaid necessarily, but Juwan Johnson, especially in like a tight end premium league, he's a priority ad this week. I'd like to grab him. I'd probably start him over Mark Andrews, at least, in week 2, kind of see how things play out, see what happens. But yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to drop him yet just because we know what he can do. But he might be past the point where he can't even do that anymore. So I wouldn't blame you if you dropped him for Juwan Johnson. I don't think it's going to kill your team if you do. It might be the best move. I don't know. See what happens. This is one we got to kind of watch and see how things play out. Like I said, it was a rough start for him last year. See what happens. But yeah, I'm greatly concerned.